I am Deacon Larry, and this is Renewed. Hello, this is Deacon Larry, and welcome back to Renewed. As we prepare to celebrate the 4th of July, the independence of our nation, and all of the good that is accrued to us, and also recognizing that as a nation, we've also at times not lived up to what we could be. It's a great time to reflect on what the church says to us about our political life and life in a political community. The documents of the Second Vatican Council. Among those documents, there's the Great Constitution, the Pastoral Constitution on the Church in the modern world. That Constitution, in its 4th chapter, addresses the political community. And I thought today, as we look ahead, we might reflect on a few things that are said in that great document. Again, the documents of the Second Vatican Council are magisterial teaching. They are official teaching of the church. They're not one among a variety of opinions that we might share. They're what the church teaches relative to many dimensions of our life, here regarding the nature of political life. In the 74th paragraph of this wonderful Constitution, it says, "The political community exists for the common good. This is its full justification and meaning, and the source of its specific and basic right to exist." That is, the state, the political community in whatever form it exists for the common good. And that we as citizens are called to share in that common good, to participate in the building up of that common good, and in fact to share our goods, to share our lives in service in order that the political community can serve the common good. That is, to serve the poor and the rich, to serve the young and the senior. The document has much to say, and I thought I'd just reference a few places. One is, it says to us, among these duties, the duties that are bindings on all citizens, it is worth mentioning the obligation to render to the state whatever material and personal services are required for the common good. It tells us that we might be called to pay taxes or to render service, to be active participants. One of the ways that we're called to render service is through the very act of voting, in which we reflect the freedom that we share and celebrate so much as Americans. It goes on to say, citizens, on the other hand, are not to vest too much power in public authority, nor to make untimely or exaggerated demands for favors and subsidies. That we're to look again to the common good and not to our personal favor as citizens. So often in our divided culture, we find ourselves gravitating to, what do I want out of this government? What do I believe? The common good calls us to the best of each of us and the best for all of us. It says citizens should cultivate a generous and loyal spirit of patriotism, but without narrow-mindedness, so that they will always keep in mind the welfare of the entire human family. We never lose the lens of Christ as members of the church. The eyes of Christ, the heart of Christ always is directed to the world. And so we see the good of the world. Now, there are those who would object today and say that's sort of a globalist way of thinking. The very nature of the church is that we do see ourselves as the family that stems from Adam and Eve, the loving creation of God, of those two and all of us. Along the way, the church says it's not identified with any political community, nor is it tied to any political system. The church operates in a world with a variety of political systems. The church doesn't endorse oppression. The document calls us to resist oppression. But it does say there are a variety of ways that governments exist in the world. As we look at that of Great Britain, or we look at that of the Commonwealth of Australia, we look at that of France, or we look at the model of the United States. Ultimately, where there's a political community, the church is present. And so the document says to us, we can never surrender our faith. It says, but at all times and in all places, the church should be genuinely free to preach the faith, to proclaim its teaching about society, to carry out its task among people without hindrance, and to pass moral judgments, even in matters relating to politics. whether the fundamental human rights or the salvation of souls requires it. Fundamental rights and the salvation of souls. In a way, our nation, we celebrate this week the freedom that is accorded to us because of this great nation that we share. And that freedom creates the space for the church to stand for the rights and the salvation of all. So as we celebrate, let us celebrate our role, our participation as citizens, and also our call to be saints. Thank you for the time today.
Please like, subscribe, or comment below.